241 BC, 3654 AM. The Romans were exhausted in resources and made a last effort against the Carthaginians, defeating their navy at the Battle of the Archaician Isles, prompting Carthage to sue for peace, ending the Punic War. All of Sicily, except for the Greek kingdom of Syracuse, was ceded over to Rome, as well as Sardinia and Corsica. This was 690 years, 138 times 5, after Israel and Judah split in 931 BC, and 504 years, 252 plus 252, after the Israelites were deported by Assyria in 745 BC. This was 720 years after the temple was finished in Jerusalem in 961 BC, and the 72nd year of the Greek Seleucid calendar of Syria. This was 480 years after the last of the 10 tribes were deported to Assyria in 721 BC. With the descendants of Israel filling the earth, including Sicily, Sardinia, Carthage, Syracuse, and even in Rome, we find none of these timelines unusual. Finally, this battle was 1998 years, 666 times 3, after the Great Flood in 2239 BC. At the conclusion of the Punic War, the Carthaginian troops stationed in Sardinia and Sicily, angered over not receiving adequate pay, raided a considerable amount of Carthaginian towns. Carthage sent an ambassador named Hasdrubal, thinking he would be respected by those offended, but they tortured him and then killed him together with all the Carthaginian prisoners they had taken. This parallels the history of Zepho, the grandson of Esau, who ruled over the Chittim of Italia along the Tiber River and made war with northern Africa. In this war, the African named Asdrubal was killed. 1. March of the Titans, A Short History of the World. 2. Machiavelli, Discourses, Book 3. 240 BC, 3655 AM. This is the final year of the train from the deteriorating ancient Earth-killer comet group, as it passes through the inner system for the final time. This comet was seen and recorded by the Chinese and other ancient star watchers. This same comet will burn out in 174 BC and be clearly seen, this being 66 years, 792 months. In this year, Archimedes, the astronomer and philosopher, is 47 years old. He dies in 212 BC. He experimented with optical instruments made of glass and crystal, or gems for various lenses. 1. The first Genesis. 2. Introduction to comets. 237 BC, 3658 AM. Carthage sent an army to occupy Spain that remained there for 18 years to 219 BC. Spain was a territory highly contended over between Rome and Carthage. This was just 72 years after the Carthaginians fought for their lives when Syracuse was invaded in 309 BC. 1. March of the Titans. 235 BC, 3660 AM. The Colossus of Rhodes, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, made from the scrap bronze left behind by a massive siege construction of bronze of Demetrius, was felled in an earthquake in this year, 66 years after it was erected. It had stood 108 feet tall. 66 years is 792 months. 1. Secret Teachings of All Ages. Note, there is a chance that this has been dated incorrectly. The statue required 12 years to erect. The true date of the quake that destroyed it may have been the year 224 BC. 232 BC, 3663 AM. Flaminius pressed the other Roman leaders to undertake the subjugation of Cisalpine Gaul. This was 66 years after the Romans defeated the Etruscans in 298 BC, or 792 months. 1. The decline of the West. 226 BC, 3669 AM. Artaxerxes, now a royal title in Persia, issued a decree making Zoroastrianism the official Persian religion, prohibiting all religions other than the religion of the Magi. Throughout Media and Persia, the Magi grew in prestige in tandem with the rise of the Parthians. 1. Zoroastrianism. 225 BC, 3670 AM. The Celtic tribes of Cisalpine Gaul, namely the Boii, Innsbres and Turisci, along with other Celtic mercenaries from the tribe of the Gesetae, spearmen, assembled after being agitated by the Romans and decided to put an end to Rome. They marched down the Po River, but the Romans learned of their approach and went out to meet them in Etruria, defeating the Celts in the Battle of Telamon. Polybius recorded the battle. 40,000 Celts are said to have died. This year was 520 years, 52 times 10, after the Israelite ancestors of the Celts were carried into Assyrian captivity in 745 BC, and 54 years, half of 108, after the Celts invaded northern Italy in 279 BC. An incredible pattern is unveiled in this history. In 945 BC, King Solomon, Jedediah, sold 20 Israelite cities to Phoenicia, and many migrations of Israelites departed by way of Phoenicia since. That was 360 years before 585 BC, when the Babylonians destroyed Jerusalem and deported the Judahites into the east. The fall of Judah in 585 BC was itself 360 years to 255 BC, when the Celts were slaughtered in the Battle of Telamon, the Roman-Celtic controversy and extension of the more ancient conflict between Jacob, Israel, and Esau, the line of Esau early on taking root in ancient Italia through his grandson Zepho. Counting another 360 years into the future lands us at 135 AD, when the Romans totally destroyed Jerusalem and killed or sold into slavery the entire nation of the Jews, ending the Bar Kokhba rebellion. This entire span of time covers 1080 years, 945 BC to 135 AD. 222 BC, 3673 AM. As the Romanid Apocalypse comet group passed through the inner solar system, two gigantic celestial objects appeared in the sky with our own moon, described as two moons. This occurred in the consulship of Gnaeus Domitius and Gaius Fannius, according to Pliny in Natural History. Massive earthquakes were felt in the Mediterranean. 1. Natural History Pliny, Universe and the World. 2. The Poison King.